Article title, RFDS S3XE5, Fractured Ties, a tense mid-season gut punch where dust storms and personal demons threaten to ground the team for good. Episode 5 review, Fractured Ties, Outback bonds struggle under the weight of grief and high-flying heroism. RFDS Season 3 continues its high-altitude ascent on 7 Network with Episode 5, Fractured Ties, aired October 22, 2025, at 8:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, streamed on 7+, offering a mid-season masterclass in emotional turbulence. This 48-minute episode, which was directed by series alumna Catriona McKenzie, with a script by co-creator Ian Meadows, replaces the procedural polish of the first few episodes of the season with raw, relational wreckage, transforming a mass casualty drill into a true nightmare and erasing the scars from the bus crash in the premiere. Gritty rescues in the midst of interpersonal implosions that feel as alienating as the Outback itself are RFDS at its most uncompromising. Although it occasionally falters in rhythm during the ensemble sprawl, I would give it an engrossing 8.5 on a scale of 1 to 10. Drills that bleed into reality. Episode recap, heart-pounding in the air, profoundly human on the ground. The Broken Hill RFDS base remains a hotbed of unresolved trauma a year after the bus disaster. Leonie, Justine Clarke, is shown in the first scene of the episode planning a high-stakes mass casualty simulation in the Flinders Ranges, complete with smoke machines, trauma makeup-clad imitation victims, and a ticking clock for effective triage. When a real freak dust storm, filmed on location in Corn, SA, unexpectedly arrives, what was supposed to be a typical team-building exercise devolves into chaos, with overturned jeeps, buried props turning into rubble, and actual injuries among the casualties, locals acting as extras. With her serenity in the UK crumbling under the pandemonium, Dr. Eliza Miller, Emma Hamilton, assumes leadership and gives priority to a fictitious crush victim whose props turn out to be a true femoral bleed. Subplots break apart like dry soil. Still plagued by his grief-driven breakdown in Episode 3, Wayne, Rob Collins, skips the routine for a solo clinic run, where he discovers his own hidden addiction, taking unmonitored pills from the aftermath of the crash. His narrative culminates in a terrifying confession to Mereille Miller, in the middle of an episode. Mira is dealing with early pregnancy worries and the nursing shortage on the base. In the meantime, Pete, Stephen Peacock, and Chaya, Shari Sebbens, argue about a poorly executed retrieval from the assault subplot in Episode 2. Eliza is the reluctant lead investigator, and his phobia-driven hesitancy is currently being reviewed internally. The storm is broken up by flashbacks, such as Maddie, Edmund Lembke-Hogan, recalling the bus crash and his PTSD showing up as unsteady hands during a crucial insertion. In a roadside assistance subplot, Taylor, Danielle Horvat, brings humor and grit by using homemade tools to stabilize a driver who is blinded by dust. However, even her optimism wanes when the team's communications malfunction, leaving her stranded miles from help. As interpersonal tensions break out in the cockpit, Pete yelling at Eliza, "You weren't there for the real blood." Echoing the season's domino effect motif, the RFDS King Air faces 50-knot crosswinds to extract the drill's worst off. It ends with quiet repercussions rather than neat heroism. Wayne enters into a covert Adelaide program, Leonie raises a dusty stubby to the team's survival, and an Episode 6 teaser teases the charity ball as a powder keg. At the discretion of the viewer, graphic representations of substance abuse and trauma response. What works? Genuine grit and emotional altitude. The use of the Outback as a metaphor for loneliness in Fractured Ties takes RFDS above the level of medevac protocol. The team's pent-up sadness is reflected in the claustrophobic, sweeping drone views of red whirlwinds. Collins Wayne gives the season's most unvarnished turn. His breakdown isn't theatrical, rather, it's a slow bleed of quiet desperation, influenced by actual RFDS consultant input on rural mental health. Hamilton's Eliza excels as the emotional anchor, her triage decisions laced with moral weight, recall the overwhelming choices in the premiere. The storm scene is a technical marvel. The score, which features taut strings by Brian E. Marks over didgeridoo drones, amplifies the dread without resorting to Hollywood glitz, while the physical effects, wind machines, pyros, make the pandemonium visceral. Ensemble beats land too. Sebbens Chaya receives a moving B-plot on cultural dislocation, which ties into the show's Logie-nominated indigenous representation, while Clarke's Leonie, the unflappable matriarch, calms the craze. Community as lifeline is the theme of its RFDS climax, where fractured ties are more than just narrative devices, they represent the human cost of Outback service. Fans praise the drill-to-disaster pivot for its realism, echoing genuine RFDS weather operations, and call it the one that hits home, according to early chatter on X, from @RFDSFansAU. What doesn't work? Jargon, jitters and pacing gusts. No episode is flawless, and Fractured Ties has erratic gusts. The exposition-heavy briefings in the first act's drill preparation drag, and the multi-threaded subplots, Pete's evaluation, Wayne's secret, occasionally bleed into overload, lessening the intensity of the storm. Medical jargon is prevalent. Phrases like tension pneumo are used without explanation, which appeals to experts but turns off amateurs. This is a recurring theme in the program that hasn't been addressed since Season 1.